Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our Tuesday morning trading session. Of course, yesterday the markets were closed in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., and they were relatively quiet, actually. We've got a little bit of an opening gap relative to where we left off the other day, but not too much so. Let's just take a quick overview here on the Eagle, and you'll see what I mean. So we've opened here around 41.86, and if I roll back to Friday session, nope, sorry, that's Monday still. Friday session, we closed out the day. Where'd you go? Oh my goodness, where'd you go? There you are. Okay, you closed out the day at around 41.40, I thought it was. Yes, here we are. So around 41.40. So we opened a little bit higher than that. It'll be interesting to see whether or not the market tries to get into that gap out of the open. You can see right now here on the NASDAQ, a lot of yellow bars here on the Hawk. So things are looking a little bit quiet to start anyways. Okay, I've also been watching gold and crude oil. Gold making a little bit of a move to the upside, but not so much. All right, so we're just waiting for the dust to settle a little bit here. I'm snooping around, seeing if there's anything interesting going on. And so far, there's not too much. Hold on a second here. We'll find something in a moment. It does almost look as though the market is going to tail off a little bit here. All right, well, here we'll pull over the crude oil chart. And here's crude oil on the Falcon. And you can see they've opened up here around 6 a.m. my time. And they're kind of stuck right now off of this primary support area. We did just get a late filter entry signal in crude, which has me a little enticed. And we have a chance at a second push entry on this one. So what we would be doing is we would be looking to take it below the current low. Essentially, we're looking for some momentum here. And you could cover it above that swing high. The only problem with this is that for crude, this is a relatively tight trade. And we haven't had a real good test of the extreme yet. We've had a little itty bitty test of the extreme right here. It's very important that we see the market take out these lows now. If we can take out those lows, there's a pretty good chance that we can at least get to our break-even target. And I'm going to enable my stops. Come on, get down there to break even, you scoundrels. So a little bit of a reaction here to the breakout. 29 looking to be, I can't believe it, $29 a barrel for crude. $29 a barrel looking to be a little bit of a sensitive price. Oh, really, you say? Yeah, who'd have thunk it? Although the Saudis are kind of hinting that crude could get all the way down to $20 a barrel. Wow, that's cheaper than milk, I think. All right, let's get down there. Come on. So they're waffling a little bit here. Now, when you see a bar hesitating like this, you know, the choice is always yours. You need to balance your risk with what you have going on here. There's never anything wrong with popping out with a profit. And if you're feeling that the market is taking too long to follow through, you know, never be shy about getting your stops to break even. A break even trade is always a comfortable position to be in. And the thing is, when the market prints a bar against you, it's very often going to print two bars against you. So what I mean to say is, and this chart's not going to be a very good example because these have all been onesies, but normally, for instance, here, if you print, we're in an uptrend, if you print one red bar, you're normally going to print at least two. In this case, you printed a few more. Here comes another red bar, and you see you get a little bit of a move lower. Now, the move was not sustained. It was just temporary. But even so, you know, there's significant support here. And there's significant support on 29. And you can see we're only one tick off of our break-even trigger anyhow. So for the sake of one tick, am I going to leave the better part of $200 in the trade? And I should also point out that we have doubled our profit objective with crude oil, right? Normally we have a $100 profit objective, but because it's crude and the market does tend to move a little bit further, I do double the profit objective. So it looks like that trade worked out pretty well for us as the market did tail off there, somewhat reluctantly. But hey, I'll take it. It's funny, everybody's running around wondering how low can crude possibly go? Well, we know it's not going to go to zero. That's a given. But it is interesting to ponder how much lower it's going to go. All right, still no real clear signal here on the NQ. We're kind of flip-flopping a little bit more yellow bars. We did get a first micro-macro cross here, and I know I take these signals almost without exception, but you do need to judge them in the relative context of the rest of the trade. If you did choose to take this first micro-macro cross signal, you should consider taking a onesie and or running your stop very deep. Why? Well, because the market is in a downtrend, right? So you should be suspicious of any moves to the upside. And you can see that first micro-macro cross effectively failing, and now we're printing a first micro-macro cross lower. Still a little too early to tell whether or not this market is actually going to begin trending today, or whether it's just going to flip-flop a little bit sideways. Okay, so here's another first micro macro cross to the downside. It would have the same concerns as this buy one did, and you'd pretty much end up risking it like this. The good news is that at least this side is with trend. The bad news is it's right near the lows. Well, it looks like, okay, we would have hit the break even and we would have found the profit target. So it worked out not too bad after all. But no need to panic. Like I said, we got lots of time still. And if you go in with the objective of only finding, 2 or 3 solid trades on the day, it takes a whole lot of pressure off of your trading. You can be a little pickier. All right, so it looks like things continuing to waffle. Gold is stuck sideways. Crude oil continued to drift a little bit lower, but now it looks like they're trading into Friday's lows. So they've kind of put the brakes on that a little bit. Okay, they're continuing to flounder a little bit. Interesting opportunity here, maybe on the hawk, where we've seen a test of the extreme, test of the lows. Oh no, it looks like they're going to continue lower. I was going to say we might consider buying the failure of this green bar sell. So here's the green bar sell. We could have sold it. The green bar sell is one of these trades that you have the option. You can buy it or sell it with the trend. Could have sold it. I probably would have risked it somewhere to there. Market had no difficulty getting to the profit objective. The other thing with the green bar sell, however, is that you can set up to buy the failure. And the nice thing about this is that you can normally risk it below the lows. So if you did get filled here and you get stopped out here, well, you definitely know you're on the wrong side of the trade. So here they are. They've come back down, retesting the lows once again. Another macro pullback. Things are starting to slip a little bit sideways, though. And what do I mean by that? Well, here, perhaps the eagle shows it best. If you just consider each leg of the trade. So there's one leg, there's another leg, here's another leg. Do you notice something going on here? Do you notice how they're losing momentum? Do you notice how their prices are starting to drift sideways a little bit? That usually happens before a trend change, before the market bottoms out and eventually starts heading higher. And it almost looks like that might be the case this time around as well. All right, so we're still kind of drifting sideways. Almost looks like we're getting a little bit of a trading range evolving. We'll see. Here are the Raptor, also just very much in a sideways action. Well, continuing to press a little bit lower. All right, well, it looks like maybe we do have a trend here today. Okay. Still kind of waiting for that bottom to come in. Looks like I could have held that crude oil trade for a little while still. Crude oil prices continuing to fall nicely. So here's crude oil on the Falcon. We took this trade right here, this late filter entry signal, and you can see prices a little bit below our profit objective. So there was a little bit more there to be had. Had similar signals on the Hawk and the Eagle. So you had a couple opportunities to get in there on crude oil. The NQ just drifting lower and not really giving me another chance to get into this thing, which is a little annoying. Ay, 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 ay. These guys. All right, well, in hindsight, a green bar sell right here about halfway through the morning session. Now we're too close to the top of the hour. If the market's going to put the brakes on, it's probably going to do it at the top of the hour at the close of opening range. But we had signals, clear signals here across the board. I'm sorry, I was looking elsewhere and I missed some of these. I'm still watching crude oil fall off. It's hovering just above 28.60, and I'm looking for that to stop its fall also. But green bar sell off of the hard edge, very reliable signal here on the Eagle. Haven't been looking at the Raptor very much this morning. Had the hard edge bounce up here on the Raptor. Had a difficult trend change signal here on the Falcon. This would not have been easy to take. Market's floundering a little bit. You see this little hiccup in here? We should have printed a trend change signal right about here somewhere. But unfortunately, the market didn't tick high or low enough to produce the signal. Something did not line up the way it was supposed to. So it wasn't until down here that we actually ended up producing the trend change signal. It did have enough follow through to it, but here we are now near the top of the hour, and it looks as though we might be getting some support. So still on the lookout for the decent NQ trade. Okay, so a big retracement now here in the Raptor. We're back to the hard edge here on the Eagle as well, producing a possible first micro macro cross here on the Hawk, as well as a possible trend change signal here on the Falcon. So let me get the Raptor ready here. I'm going to set my profit targets, and I'm probably going to throw a runner in here. What I'm looking for here is a soft edge buy. So I'd like to see the market maybe come down a little, just a little, and then come right back with a buy signal. That could give me a little bit of confidence to buy the market up, but only if it doesn't drift too low. The reason being I don't want to lose the bullish momentum that the market has here, right? We've got some bullish momentum. It's come down. If it drifts all the way back down here, well, then we've pretty much lost all the upside momentum. That's floundering a little bit now. Andrew asks a question. He says, Eric, which is your favorite bird? Or do you like the Raptor? I can't get to grips with the Raptor, Andy says. All right, hold on one second here, Andrew. Just waiting for this. So you're gonna ask a father his favorite child, are you? They all have their strengths, and because the birds are designed for different environments, you know, they all have their place. I suppose I tend to use the hawk the most, and that's because you know, it has the scalping environment, and you end up scalping, I think, or having more scalping opportunities. Okay, there's that buy. So you end up having more scalping opportunities than anything else, I think. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take it just above the high of this current bar. So we've got our soft edge sell, and we'll see whether we get some follow through on this now. Now this is a higher risk trade, folks, because it is definitely counter trend. So we're going to hope for the best here. The Raptor is the latest of the tools, of course, and it incorporates elements of the other three birds all into one trading system. John, for instance, says he loves the Raptor. He says it's his favorite trading system, and we get that response from quite a few Raptor owners, truth be told. It's turned out to be a very popular and profitable system. I suppose, you know, it's whatever tool you have the most confidence in. Yeah, like Andrew writes, I trade crude oil and I'm really starting to like the Eagle. And there too, you know, the Eagle gives some really solid signals. I know Ray Burke, I think the Eagle was his favorite. I've spoken to other traders who say, you know, the Falcon is their favorite tool. I like them all. I think they all have their place. If I had to choose only one, it would be a tough decision to make. For sure it would. Okay, they're really waffling here. So that tells me that there's decent selling effort. See, look at the Geiger counter pulled over hard, and there's decent buying effort. It pulls over the other way and holds. So we know there's definite resistance up here. We know there's definite support down here. I was going to say you could enter above this high. It would be a little safer. However, chances are if the market, you know, breaks where we're at now, it's going to try to break that high also, which it just did, so you would have been engaged regardless. I guess I better get a stop loss order in play here somewhere. That seems awfully cozy, doesn't it? Throwing a stop down there. Maybe we'll get to break even and I won't have to worry about it. All right, we got a little bit more elbow room now. So we've hit the break even target. Come on, boys and girls, get up there. One more tick, that's all we need. Oh, you stinkers. Oh, you stinkers. Just took that bounce off of that hard edge, looked back far enough to hit the break-even trigger. And here comes another buy signal. So dare we try it again? Felt much better buying down here. Not so happy buying at this level, but we'll see if we can't get the follow through on it. Andrew's asking, where did Ray go? Ray he took some personal time. I actually haven't spoken to Ray for a while now. I don't know what he's up to at the moment. Richard asks a great question here regarding the trade forecaster. Trade forecaster is this tool that I have right here on the Eagle that tells you what the current market environment is and what the next one is most likely to be. So Richard asks, do you pay attention to this? For instance, if it says scalp mode like it does right now, do you focus on the hawk? If it says swing mode, do you look at the falcon? And trend mode, do you look at the eagle? Well, no, not so much. You can, but what I tend to do is, okay, right now I'm in scalp mode. We know the market's in scalp mode. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the market's likely to be choppier. Therefore, I should probably take profit on target. I should probably run wider stops because the market is likely to be choppier, make bigger swings, and I don't want to get stopped out too early. If the market is in trend mode, let's go to the other extreme. If the market's in trend mode, that doesn't mean I'm not going to get signals on the hawk and the falcon or the raptor, but rather it means that I can probably anticipate a little bit more follow through on the trade. I can probably anticipate less violent pullbacks. Therefore, I could probably enlarge my profit objective. I could probably run a tighter stop. And then the swing mode would obviously be somewhere in between there. You would still have reasonable sized moves, and I would probably still go all in, all out on target, but you'd also have deeper swings, so you may have to run slightly wider stops than you would if you were in full-on trend mode. So that's how I tend to use the trade forecaster. I don't just focus, okay, we're in scalp mode. That doesn't mean that I only look at the hawk to the exclusion of everything else. I pretty much take the signals how they print, and I try to focus on, is this a high probability signal that I'm seeing? If it's a high probability signal, well, then it doesn't matter to me so much what tool it's on. You can see here why I was a little hesitant to take this secondary signal here on the Raptor, because we don't really have the structure that we had earlier. So hopefully the market will continue a little bit higher here, make another run at this little swing high, and I should get more aggressive with my stops, I think. Come on, just give me one more swing. Get up there. All right, we'll go with parabolics. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to allow the market to sort itself out without having too much at risk. So now we're contending with these highs right here. Okay, so we've hit the break-even trigger, and hopefully they won't look too far back this time. Get up there. Come on. Come on. Oh, look at that. They're one tick from my profit target. Get it. There we go. Okay. So we've got profit on one contract, and we've rolled the other at break even. I'm actually running the parabolic, and I'm going to get tagged here in a second, I think. Oh, maybe not. Might have caught a lucky break. So we've got the cloud crossover now, and when we get the cloud crossover, we anticipate the market to come back into the cloud and for the stops to offer some sort of, or the cloud to offer some sort of support. And once again, it's a little bit of a hit and miss here whether or not my stop is going to be too aggressive or whether it's going to hold me in. No, looks like we're going to get a turn here. These bars are getting a little bit wide. And we know that, you know, as we get closer to 4,200, things are going to get a little stickier. Ooh, we got a chance. Come on, somebody get in there. Tag 41.78 or 41.77 3/4. Ay, ay, ay. Nope. Oh, shoot. That was so close. I thought we were going to make it there for a second. A good trade all the same. The thing to take away from this is, your stops are not a loss until they get hit. So you want to give the market a chance. And it looks like it may bolt here a little bit higher still. Yeah, so the parabolic a little bit too aggressive on that. We'll see what kind of follow through we get here now that we're trading at 41.78. No, it's trying. And they're starting to get knocked down again. So we'll put that on the shelf for the moment. Possible 4-arrow consolidation going on here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the 4-arrow consolidation. This tends to be a pretty reliable signal on the hawk. And our entry is right here. For a couple more ticks, you can enter above the high, which would probably be a little bit safer. You can cover below the lows. This market's still kind of in sideways action, and now we're drifting into yellow bars. So I'm going to cancel this order. The whole idea behind the 4-arrow consolidation is that the market rallies off of the 4th arrow. If it fails to do so, then you need to reassess what's going on. Well, they're getting knocked down pretty good. Well, we've had 2 decent trades so far, the Raptor trade and the crude oil trade, so we're not doing too bad to start. Oh, brother. Okay, we're definitely in sideways mode. The Raptor here showing us, yellow bars. The yellow bars on the Raptor don't have quite the same influence as they do on the Hawk, but even so, you can kind of see that little bit of sideways action we have going on. We've violated the trend line that way, so that's not going to matter too much. Wow, they're definitely stuck. See here, the Falcon showing us too the waffling. See, whenever your trend line starts to look like a roller coaster, you need to be careful. I wonder if the NQ is going to pull together a rally here. All right, well, we've got a first micro macro cross here in the hawk. Let's see if I can throw a runner on this one, if this ends up going anywhere. Now the signal is going to, oh, now we're into yellow bars. Too bad. I was going to say we'll trail the signal here. Oh, we've almost had a green bar sell. Back into yellow bars, however. No. All right. It's best we don't get too cute with the market here. Well, here's an interesting scenario. It doesn't matter what chart you look at, you pretty much have a market that's conflicted within a substantial trading range. You could do an OCO order here. We don't do these very often for these types of trades, but you could look to buy above and sell below. And what I tend to do is I tend to place the OCO order away and then pull it in to where I want it to be. Okay, well, there they go. They filled us to the upside. We've got our break-even stop. One thing about the OCO order is you're not going to get a trailing stop. Oh, well, I don't have my stop enabled. That's why I don't have a trailing stop. Okay, definitely looking for some bullish follow through now. This is a little bit of a hit and miss kind of trade because breakouts tend to fail. You know, about 3/4 of all breakouts will reverse on themselves. But we have seen some higher lows here, so I'm hopeful. The best stop placement would be below these lows. In fact, I'm considering using those. Come on, get up there. Ooh, the reluctance is crazy. Come on, a couple more ticks. There we go. Come on now. Just take out the high here. This whole 4172 area. If we can see a trade above there, I think we'll be all right. There's 4172. Oh, did I 73? Okay, so time to enable the stops. Roll those in. See if we can't get to break even. And the thing with the break even function also, I have the auto break even active, but let's say I wanted to hit the break even now. I can force the trade to break even early by hitting the break even button. All right, I think it's time to go with parabolics now. We'll get something more aggressive in there. As we get back to these highs, have we hit our profit objective? There we go. We would have just hit our profit objective, so don't be shy about taking profit. You know, very often the market will reverse or at least stagger a little bit once we hit our first profit target. I'm getting a little bit cute here with the market. See if we can't run it up to 4,200, that is. Come on. Big bar here. Notice all the volume coming through here. Buyers ended up controlling that bar. You can tell by the long tail on here. Oops. Sellers came back. Okay, these highs are pretty significant. So if we can get on the other side of these highs, we will have a little bit of room to run. Big if, though. That's a lot for this market. Getting a lot of sideways action now. Let's see, we're pretty much trading within this whole sideways range from 41.78 down to 41.60. And it turns out I should have taken my profit when I had it. Well, the broker will be happy. Well, there's not much we can do with a market that's stuck going sideways, I'm afraid. Except try to wait it out. Still early, only about 45 minutes into the session so far. Excuse me. Crude's working on a possible trend change signal here on the Falcon. So we've actually already produced the early trend change signal, but here's the proper trend change. We've got the up. Now we're going to look for the down, and we're going to look for the up and the buy signal. So here's the trend change to the downside. So here's the down. Here's the up. And here's the down, which produces the sell signal. I actually drew this wrong. The up is over here. There we go. So that's what we looked for in a trend change signal, and this is what we're getting here now. We've got the up, we're looking for the down, we're looking for the sellers to give it another go, and then to see the sellers give up, and for the market to come back and produce a buy signal. Oh boy. Good question here from Brian while we're waiting for things to shape up a little bit. Brian asks, what is your take on pivot points? I notice you never use them. Does the dynamic support and resistance cover these? Well, the support and resistance suite, the lines here are not pivot points, and neither are they Fibonacci retracements. If they happen to coincide with one, it's more by coincidence than design. Pivot points, you know, they have their proponents. I think of them a lot like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, if they work, great. If they don't work, well, you know, there's no real logic behind it. And for that reason, I don't put the pivot points on here. I tend to look mostly at the price action itself right? Like if I get a trend change signal like I got right here, we have our up, trend line changes color, we get the up, we have the down, we get the up. Now I need to make a decision, am I going to take this trade? Well, if I'm taking into consideration my support and resistance suite, and I see that the market is bouncing off of the median line, yeah, that gives me a little bit of confidence in trying to buy the market higher. Will I take the signal or not take the signal because of what I might be saying here in the support and resistance suite? No, not necessarily. You know, if we had, let's say we had primary resistance, which we know is a strong one sitting right here, would it give me pause? Yeah, I might structure the trade differently. You know, maybe I'll enter on the other side of primary resistance. Or if I still take it on the hash mark, I'm definitely going to run a deep stop in case there's a big bounce. So I do consider it, but it's not the deciding factor, because after all, everything that you see on this chart, except for the price, is not really here, right? The trend lines are based on an algorithm. The support and resistance suite is based on an algorithm. Even the filter down here is based on an algorithm. The only thing that is true is the price itself. I suppose, Brian, the final factor is always, does it help you make a decision? You know, if it does help you make a decision, then by all means, go ahead, use pivot points. But if it clouds your judgment, if it makes it harder for you to decide whether you want to buy or sell, then I honestly don't think you need it. Yeah, like Brian says, yeah, it seems like sometimes they hold and sometimes they don't. And that's the problem with predictive tools like pivot points or Fibonacci retracements or anything that tries to say this is where the market's going to stop. Because it doesn't always stop there, does it? Good morning, Jim. Haven't seen you for a while. Jim says he's shooting some advanced decline numbers here. So the market's looking a little bit bullish on the surface, just under 1,700 on the buy and about 1,200 on the sell. So it has a slightly bullish flavor today. We'll see whether or not that follows through. Crude oil definitely making a little bit of a retracement after that earlier move lower. Gold still more or less sideways. They fell off a little bit, but nothing really coming out of gold at the moment. And we'll see whether the NASDAQ finally commits to anything or if they're just going to keep drifting. It's disappointing that we haven't really seen much follow through one way or the other. Not like last week. My goodness, we had exceptional days last week. Jim says the oil market and the DAX are good triggers, especially oil. He says if it catches a bid, then the market will run higher. Yeah, like that's going to happen. Oil's trading where? Where are they now? 29.08. Oh my goodness, my friends with their oil stocks. Oh, they're coming unhinged. They're phoning me almost daily. Eric, what should I do? Well, you've held it this long. It's not going to go to zero. You may as well hold on a little longer. Michael's asking, Eric, what are the red and green brackets that appear on the right of to the right of the bar? Okay, if you're referring to these red and green brackets, this is called the logic counter. This is a system add-on. It's part of DTS. And what it does is it forecasts where this bar will form. So I can tell you that if the market trades higher, the high of this bar will be 41.83 half, and the low will, if it goes lower, will be 41.77 half. Why is that important? Well, let's say I choose to buy, but I want to buy above the high of this bar. Well, then I'll be sure to enter my order at 41.83 3/4 and do something like that. So that's the logic counter. If you're referring to the bracket that you see occasionally here around the Raptor, this little envelope that forms, and we don't have one right now, there it is. That's unique to the Geiger counter. That's part of the Geiger counter, and it's the short-term trade indicator. So this is telling you that right now, given all things related to the Geiger counter, the market has a short-term bullish bias. So if you were looking to take that buy signal and you saw that little green envelope around it, that would give you a little bit more confidence perhaps to buy. There is some follow through here today, but the moves are so unpredictable. You know, you see it after the fact. This hard edge bounce here on the Raptor was a very nice move in hindsight. Very difficult to take though, real time. There were a lot of things going on in this market at this time to make it seem as though perhaps it would fail and actually head lower, and then it comes back with yet another buy signal off the hard edge. Yeah, I'm with you, Jim. I think we could see a test of this morning's highs. I was looking um, for a run to 42 maybe, 4,200. Oh baby, oh baby. And Jim says it's a bear market, so gravity is in effect. Says gravity can make prices drop 30 ticks in less than 15 seconds. Yes, sir, that is true. It takes very little to make a market go lower. Oh, way to go. Jim's knocking it out of the park this morning. Two longs, he says. He's up 101 ticks. Well done. shoot, there they go. That's what I get for my humming and hawing. I was waiting for this 4-arrow consolidation, and then that got away on me. And then I was waiting for the trend change signal, and I was too late on that one too. Darn it. A great comment here from Jim. Jim says, funny how a belief system in trading can hold you hostage to limited results. Like a year ago, 100 ticks was almost undoable for me. Now it's the norm. Something to be said about fear and creating a vision for expansion. Some pain involved, but worth it. Rich Friesen shares a great story, and the way he tells it, I almost think it's a little closer to home than he lets on. But he tells the story of one of his traders, because Rich used to have a trading firm at the Pacific Stock Exchange, and he would train his traders how he wanted them to trade. And one of them had a psychological obstacle as to how much money he could make that year. And I think it was like 100,000 or 250,000 or something. I think it was 250,000. Anyways, he would get up to 250,000, and then he would lose some money, and he'd get back up to 250,000, and he'd lose some money, and it was a real hurdle for him. And upon investigating it deeper, it turned out that he had some issues about making more money than his father made. Kind of a deep-seated respect for his dad. He didn't want to one-up his dad, and it took a while to get over that hurdle. But once he did, there was no limit to how much he could make. But yeah, you're right, Jim. It takes our minds are a funny thing. Self-sabotage, as odd as it sounds, is a real thing, a real issue, especially in the trading world. I find one of my hindrances is to not bring a bias into the market. My worst days are the ones where I have already decided the market needs to go higher or it needs to go lower. And then I'll pretty much ignore what the charts are telling me. And of course, at the end of the day, you always need to be trading what's in front of you. Nothing else matters. I'm afraid, though, the NASDAQ seems to be in a bit of a sideways mode. I think it's probably because of the financial summit that's going on in Switzerland this week. I don't know if that's going to hold the market. I would have thought if we saw a rally, there'd be a little bit more to the upside, maybe due to profit taking, if nothing else. I don't know if the volume is off today or not. I haven't looked. Well, we're just kind of watching and waiting. Not much going on here. Might get a second chance to sell here in a moment. Looks like the hawk kind of topping out a little bit. Oh, we did get an early trend change signal here on the Falcon. Doggone it, Eric. Pay attention, man. All right, come on, give me that first micro macro cross now. Oh, you guys. Come on, give me that first micro macro cross. All right, so here's our first micro macro cross signal. I'm going to save the entry below the lows for right now. Just in case we see a little bit of a false move lower. See what else is going on here. Oh, that trend change signal had great follow through. All right, we're into the hard edge now on the Eagle, and we might get a cloud crossover here on the Raptor also. So the Raptor also producing an early signal. So you could look at shorting the Raptor below the low of the current bar. Okay, don't be looking too far back. Oh, come on now. Shoot. They weren't supposed to reach that far back. All right, so here we have a macro pullback. All right, so we've hit the break even. We'll go with the parabolics for the remainder. And we'll see if we can't get a little bit of follow through now on this trade as well. Come on. Okay, they're trying. Oh, come on. Jeepers, the lack of follow through is brutal. No, they're going to try to, they're still stuck going sideways for the most part. No, there they go. Doggone it. All right. Well, let's scrub that. So, it's tough. It's a sideways market today. So it's tough slogging. Looks like we got trapped on break even on the remainder of that position. We should have seen a lot more follow through on this trade. Oh, I'm getting a bad feeling that we just weren't able to ride that out. As here come the sellers again. Darn it. All right, so here we go again. We're going to get a red bar sell here, or pardon me, a red bar buy, maybe. Nope, just disappeared. So monster swings going on, but you know what? I think we're going to, well, I was going to say I'm on the lookout here for a selling opportunity. I do think we've got a little bit of room here to go. They're going to run away on me. Well, it's that kind of day today. Win a few, lose a few. I'd like to pick up one more decent signal today, but it's going to be tough. I'll warn you. I think what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to wrap up the room today. It's the top of the hour. We're probably going to continue to see the market bounce around sideways like this for a little while. Tomorrow, a reminder, Wednesday, we're meeting at the public trading room. So I'll see you guys there. And hopefully the market will have a little better follow through and not waffle quite as much as it did this morning. All right. So we'll catch you tomorrow then. Bye for now.